You know, nobody asked me questions about this. They all took it for granted that they thought they knew. Nobody's ever asked me what happened.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians to talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. I hope you had a glorious weekend. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal is Montreal's premier metal promoter. They put on a bunch of sick metal shows here in Montreal all year long, but more than that, they also put on one of North America's best metal festivals, and that is the absolute truth. I have played festivals all across the globe, and Heavy Montreal is up there with the best of them. Coming up real soon, they have an amazing show with Ginger and Suicide Silence at Tellus. If you do not have your tickets for that, you absolutely should go and pick them up, and you can do that via the link in the description of this podcast, because that show will sell out. I'm super stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. Now, before we jump into today's episode, I would just like to ask you to follow the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, I will also like to ask you to tell a friend about the podcast. If there is someone in your life that enjoys metal or craft beer, make sure to tell them about the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. You can tell them that there are over 290 episodes with some of the world's best metal musicians available for them to listen to on the podcast platform of their choice. If you were to encourage one of your friends to become a future Vox and Hops head, that would be something that I would truly appreciate. Now, on today's episode, I'm with Yngve Bolt Christiansen, the vocalist of Blood Red Throne. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox and Hops episode number 298.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I'm with Yngve Bolt Christiansen of Blood Red Throne. Bolt, how are you doing? It's been a long time since we've had the pleasure of hanging out and drinking some beers together. How are you doing? I'll take that as
I'm always good, man. It doesn't matter what life throws at me. I'm always happy.
Which is why I always like to start off on a shitty question so we could have fun later, is how did you cope with these years of a pandemic? How did you cope with 2020?
Awesome.
It was awesome.
Great, man. Yeah. I suddenly, I usually like to drink alone. And this year I've been like one of the cool kids instead of the antisocial one. So I've just been at home drinking and listening to music that I like, dancing in my living room and having fun, So pandemic was awesome. It was super amazingly shitty not to be on stage, because that's the one thing I like more than drinking alone. But other than that, I've been really happy during this year. It's been a good year to get your brain, your mind settings and everything else in order, to focus and get ready for a shitty life without a pandemic.
It's going to come back. We're going to be back on stage soon enough. And luckily today, you don't have to drink alone, because I'm going to drink with you, because Vox and Hops is all about hanging out with my metal friends, talking about their lives, music, and craft beer. What beer are we going to be drinking there? What beer are you drinking right there?
Oh, I'm so sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm gluten intolerant, man.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I used to be really into tasty beers and dark beers and whatever beer I could find with high alcohol levels. But now I'm drinking gluten-free beer. So today I got two kinds. I had 6, but I started too early today. So right now it's Ringnes of Oslo.
Ringnes.
So this is pretty cool Pilsner, which is not alcohol free, gluten free. And the next one I'm going to open is the Hansa of Bergen, which is mango Ipa, or Ipa we say in Norway. I don't know, is it Ipa or Ipa?
An IPA, so an IPA would be,
Yeah, we call it Ipa. So this is Ipa Mango flavored, which is really good. And the best thing about it is it kind of controls your drinking, because if you have too much, It's kind of like wine. You get a little bit more drunk than you plan to, so you drink a little more slowly on it. I had a couple of other ones, but I've been drinking for 5 hours, so this is it tonight.
Is that one also gluten-free?
This is also the gluten-free, yeah, because
Amazing.
Hansa is the best beer. That's the burger beer, but in the Pilsner of the gluten-free, Hansa is a little bit too light for me. You know, I do like light beer if it's, you know, I like Heineken and Amstel and stuff like that. But the gluten-free one is a little bit. There's no taste. It's just like bitter, but no taste.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome that there's options for you to enjoy beer
there's
still,
a lot
yet
more
with
though.
your intolerance. Yeah. So tell me about. I'll introduce my beer and then I have a question. I'm interested.
Let
about
me
your intolerance. I'm going to be drinking Third Moon Brewing's super metal ass brewery out of Milton, Ontario. This is Born Into This. It's a sour ale. It's a goza, a sour ale with lime, salt, and coriander. They always have the killer metal artwork. I love them to death.
Yeah, I like the
cool.
artwork.
Yeah, they're like just over a year old, and they're doing so damn well. I'm so proud of them.
And also, every time I see a green label on beer, I feel it has to be good for some reason. I feel the sourness of the label, and I like it sour. Yeah.
Let me pour this out, and I'm curious. How did you discover that you're gluten-free? That you're gluten intolerant? A blood test. What was your experience beforehand? Just bloating, feeling sick. What was life like before you realized? Because we like to drink lots of beer, so I'm sure you were still drinking beer when you had these symptoms.
And I ignored it for a long time too. But my ex-girlfriend is into nutrition and that kind of stuff, and she was gluten-free, and the mom of my son. And I didn't want to listen. I wanted to drink beer and have fun, but then things started to add up, and how I was feeling and how my life has been energy-wise. So I stopped for a long time, and when I got drunk and I said yes to something, then I started to feel it. So for me, the main topic is loss of energy. And well, for the gluten, I don't eat anything with milk in it, so it's a two-sided thing. But the gluten is mainly my energy. I've never been able to get up in the morning, or I was the one who always came late for school and stuff. So and at work, when I used to work, not like I do now, then I was always the guy who fell asleep at lunchtime after a couple of sandwiches.
Really?
So, yeah. So now, if I have gluten now, it's like gluten on a Monday is like a 5-day binge of alcohol. I sleep for a week. Yeah, I can't get up. So.
Well, I'm glad that you discovered that and you know what's going on with your body.
Yeah, I have to respect it now. So. But cheers,
Let's see
friend.
what this has got. It smells amazing.
Oh, I wish I had your beer though.
Oh, it's subtle. It's not too tart. It's more. Oh no, there it comes in there. Salt is nice. The lime balances out. It's not too tart for a goza. It's really interesting. Born into this. Cheers. Let's talk about beer. Yours. Let's talk about your very first beer. Do you remember the first beer that you drank, Bolt?
Yeah, I do. I was at this party. I'm not going to go into what kind of party it was, but I was 14, and I remember all my friends were older, so they had bought beers, and I was like, I felt I was like dealing drugs because I took one of the guys out to the what's it called, terrace or.
The patio or the outside
patio,
area.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, can I buy some beers from you? And he was like, yeah, how much you want? And I'm like, 3. And he was like, yeah, that's cool. And I bought 3 beers, and I got shit-faced drunk, and we went to the party afterwards, like the gala dinner thing. I was the youngest, of course, and I was the whole night puking in the toilet. And from there, I never went back. Yeah, so that was cool. Well, what was your first experience?
Oh, same experience at a high school party. A little bit older. I was probably 15 or 16. Yeah. Far too many of them. Wild open house party with all my friends at that time.
Oh.
Great night.
Awesome.
Shitty beer though, but
Yeah.
that's what you have to start with, right?
And
Let's hear
mine was
about.
the good Hansa beer in the small
Really?
glass bottle we used to have. Yeah.
Let's see, at least you started high, which is amazing.
Yeah, the beer was good. I wasn't that good.
I want to hear about the soundtrack of your youth. When you were growing up in your parents' or guardians' house, what music was playing when you were not in control of the radio? What music did your parents or guardians listen to?
Well, I grew up to 60s music. I just remember my dad was a musician in the 60s, and I always, when I woke up in the morning, my dad was blasting Elvis or Shadows or Rolling Stones, and I just remember always coming down the stairs. Just my dad was playing his Stratocaster, playing this lead guitar to the songs. That was my youth, 60s music, and I'm still a huge fan of the 60s today. So
that's amazing. It's amazing. I love hearing musicians coming from musician families. It's awesome. Yeah. Such a unique experience. How did you rebel, though? A lot of the times when we are too close to our parents, some things, like for myself, my dad was a metalhead. He liked Metallica. So when I was growing up, I became really into nu metal because there was no guitar solos. Anything with a guitar solo was my dad's music, and it wasn't cool. So how did you find yourself rebelling against your father, who was a musician?
Well,
musically,
yeah, good. My dad used to be a musician. So when my dad is older, 74 now, I think. So my brothers are born like 15 and 18 years before me. Wow, so when he became a dad, he was kind of like told to stop being a musician. So he had to become responsible. So my rebellion from my musician dad was to become a musician myself, basically.
Did he support it?
This is a hobby. You can never create anything out of music. This is a hobby. You have to get a real job and an education. I was against that. If people I see on MTV or whatever, this is before YouTube, like you. So when people we see on TV are able to become musicians, why can't we? Mm-hmm. So I never wanted to listen to like you can't be this, you can't do that. Of course, my job is not music anymore. It was, but it's still. I wanted to do what felt right for me. So music is my life, and it doesn't matter what paycheck it gives. It comes first or second after my son, of course, but we'll never give up music, and becoming a musician was my rebellion. I mean, the consequence was rebellion, but it was never done to be rebellious. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You get what I mean, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't consciously done. You just followed your passion.
But now my dad thinks it's cool. So
I was headed there. Was there a moment?
Music.
And he doesn't get the music. Yeah. But was there a moment when he was like, "Okay, you did it. You did succeed"?
Well, I haven't succeeded yet, though. Nobody can you succeed unless you count people that succeed, of course. You can always become better, you can always become bigger, there's no end to evolving in anything. If you think you've finished evolving, then you die or you're done. So just keep evolving. But now my dad does respect what I do. He sees that I travel the world, people love our music, or I tell him people love our music at least, and he's respecting it. He asks now, "How's it going?" He's not asking, "Do they pay you?"
Yeah. You had that classic question. Yeah.
How much does it pay? Well, anything they pay us, we drink.
I want to hear about your first show. Do you remember your first show that you went to go see? First live music experience?
To play or see?
To see first.
Oh, okay. My dad, summer vacations in the 90s, he took me to Denmark with my mom, who used to live. And we went to, I remember my two first festivals and shows. So I don't really remember
The lineup.
What's it called? Yeah, no, I mean, I don't remember which one was first.
Okay.
But I remember we went to see Status Quo in Copenhagen, and then he took me to a festival to see Leningrad Cowboys. And that's an awesome band from Finland. They have like this long hair and the long shoes and everything is awesome, but they play a lot of really cool cover tunes, but more hard rock. And then the one that got stuck in my head was we went to a record store because I always had to follow my dad into a record store because he had to like see if there was something new out he wanted, So we went to a record store in Copenhagen, and then this band, a punk band from Copenhagen, is called Strawberry Slaughterhouse, was playing a promotion show, and I was like, "Whoa, this was cool!" And I was like talking to the band, and the band invited me. I was, I think, 11 years old. They invited me to come to see them at a festival in Copenhagen. Tuborg Festival. So my dad took me to see them. They took me backstage, and it was really cool. I was 11 years old, my Michael Jordan jersey and my red punk gear. And the band after them was a band called Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh yeah.
So I was on the fence looking at Blue Oyster Cult, and for me that time, the songs that we know today are kind of soft, but what I experienced there on stage was brutally heavy. They even had, I don't know if it was like Nico with one foot going faster, if it was double pedals, I don't remember, but I just remember listening to the bass drum, like, I never heard that in my life, and I was like, whoa. So after the show, I went straight back into the backstage, and I found Blue Oyster Cult, and I went straight to the drummer, like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life, double bass drum or fast bass drum. And he was like super happy to have me back there, like a young kid. So he introduced me to the whole band. I was hanging out with Blue Oyster Cult, and so that was the start, of I want to be a rock star,
You're just backstage at 11. How cool is that?
Holy shit, Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, that's kind of cool,
Your dad must have liked that too.
I think he liked it. I didn't look at too much at my dad. Yeah.
How about, let's go to your first time on stage.
Yeah, 1 year after I was the drummer in a band at my kiddie school. I was playing drums with a band. The guys were older than me. Were playing like Creedence songs and stuff. And what is kind of cool for me with that show is that that was on our national day, 17th of May, same as not yours, but 4th of July. And I don't know what the Canadian.
We have Canada Day. It's the 1st of July, but it was canceled this year because of all the atrocities that happened in the Canadian with the Aboriginal youth.
Oof, yeah, I know. Okay, so the Norwegian Day. So it was my first show was in front of the whole school, all the parents and everyone. It was probably like 600-700 people there. I played drums to Creedence, and my mom died like within a month after that, and of cancer, and she was in front of the stage in her wheelchair, like dying. But she saw my.
I got goosebumps.
She saw my first show on stage, and I always kept that with me. Like she saw the beginning of my path. Wow. And that always meant a lot to me, of course.
Were you playing drums when you went backstage at 11? Were you already a drummer, or did you become a drummer after meeting Blue Oyster Cult?
No. I became a drummer afterwards. So the first thing I did, because how can you play drums? So I signed up for like the marching band at my school to just to be able to touch a drum set. So and every day after the practices, 2 times a week, my dad drove me and the whole drum kit back home. So I was sitting in my room playing these drums, just practicing every day, and then I started to learn, Yeah. So singing was never a part of my plans.
Wow. So imagine your dad didn't take you into that record store.
Yeah. No, he took me to every record store.
And then you didn't meet that band, Strawberry Slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And then you didn't go backstage at that show. Would you be here today with me?
Yes.
I love these little paths of life, you know, like
well, paths and lives, they're like everything. That's why I feel you can never regret anything bad you do, because anything you do, bad or good, it's a turning point leading you towards wherever you are today. You know, of course, some people should regret what they do, but as long as you're happy with where you are today, you shouldn't really regret stuff. So but becoming a musician was never an option for me. I was fascinated with drums way before that. You know, I used to build my own drum kits out of tin cans and casseroles when I was a young kid. But this was something else. You know, it went from cool to a fascination. You know, so yeah. No, I would probably be the same still today. But it did tick something in me with my first concert experience was that the backstage is open for you.
It's crazy.
So that always stuck with me. I never respected any boundaries or fences or guards. I go wherever I want, you know, always. And a lot of people hate that, and I like it.
It's freedom. It's freedom. How about, you mentioned the screaming was never in the game with you. It was never a plan for you to be an extreme vocalist. Yet here we are, and you are an extreme vocalist.
Yeah,
and you don't play drums. Plan. So how did you discover? How did you fall into becoming an extreme vocalist?
You know, metal was never a plan. Singing was no plan. I used to play drums, and then I got bullied so much as a kid, a little older kid, like 15, 16, that my voice was so fucking ugly. I should just keep my mouth shut, you know? And that bullying was kind of bad. So then I decided to quit playing drums and start singing instead. Really? Give me a fucking microphone. So that was the first thing I did. I quit playing, or I continued playing drums for a couple of years more, but my focus became singing and playing guitar. But that was more, today I would call it pop music, but it felt like hard rock then, you know? And I did that for a couple of years, and I think I was like maybe 20 when a metal band needed a vocalist, and they had seen me on stage playing around town with my pop band, and they said, "We don't know if you can do metal, but we want you to be our front man." So it's like, oh, okay, I'll do it, you know, because metal for me was noise. Like, I didn't like Metallica. It was too much distortion. I did like Guns N' Roses, but not Metallica. Noise. But of course, there's thousand side stuff that we don't have to spend 5 hours on talking about, but small stuff happened, you know, in my brain, like Slipknot in 2002 and Sepultura and Pantera, you know, small stuff came in and put like small pieces in my brain to like, this is something you should follow, you know. But when as soon as I went to like rehearsal with them, and I remember I shared a rehearsal place with another band over more Blackish Death or whatever, Trash Black Death, younger guys, you know, you don't really know what you're playing yet. So they were right before we were starting to rehearse. They played a Bloodline of Slayer.
Yep.
And I was thinking, like, fuck, this song is cool. What is this? You should play it live. You should create something out of this. It's really cool. And they were like, dude, it's Slayer. And I'm like, what's Slayer? And then I started to listen to Slayer, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. So yeah, it was pure coincidences, and it just escalated like crazy, because in my earlier youth, I didn't have anyone giving me any inspiration to metal, except my brother, who desperately tried to show me metal bands, but I didn't fall for it before I did.
You weren't ready yet.
I weren't ready. You have to, you know, you can open your ears, but for metal, you have to open your heart, man.
I toured with Blood Red Throne in 2015, I believe it was, but you weren't there.
No, man, and that
There was a
really
period.
sucks.
It was Martin, right? His was the vocalist
Yeah.
that was there at the time.
Yeah, that was the producer of the Gore and Core single. That was when things started going bad with the festival I had, Blastfest, and I just told the guys that right now I need to fix my mess. You know, I can't commit how much you want me to commit. I'm ready to do live stuff, but they were in the start of recording the Union of Flesh and Machine album, and I said like I'll do all the shows, I'll be both for you guys, but you have to give me a half year before I can start being creative and write new music. And they said, no, you can't have any time. If you're not doing the album, you're out of the band. I had the flight tickets to Maryland Death Fest, to Wacken. I was going to be with you guys. And I said, like, I really want to do everything, but just please give me till after the summer before I start writing. But nope. So they had a great replacement at the time in Martin. And they did everything. And right after the summer, Martin said that he didn't want to do it, and the band asked me if I could come back. So I missed a lot of cool shows, and then he already wrote and recorded, you know, Flesh and Machine. So I respected him by keeping all his lyrics, and I re-recorded the whole album with my voice instead. That was a needed. For me it was a needed break, of course, but for us it was a needed stick in the wheel, you know, just to see that we're supposed to be together, you know.
So you sort of got what you wanted in the end, but it must have been difficult. You got the break, but the band kept going without you. That must have been difficult to watch and see. And
the only thing difficult to watch and see was that I felt when I saw on YouTube the shows, I felt like I would have done it better. And nothing against Martin, was a cool guy and a good vocalist and everything, but it was just he wasn't me. Yeah. So I felt that, you know, Blood Red Throne is my band. Yeah, I came in 13 years after it started, but it's still my band now, as much it is as it is the other guys', you know, because of all respect to Daniel, it's his band, dude. But I've been there 10 years now, and you know what I mean, right?
Absolutely.
Cryptopsy is your band, right?
Cryptopsy is my band.
I'm not talking about, this can be misinterpreted. I'm not talking about ownership.
No, and we're not talking about who's running the band.
It's your band. That's the band you're
pride.
in. That's the band it's your band. Yeah. So, but everything since then, it's been great, you know. Yeah.
When you got that, when they called you back, were you an automatic yes, or did you make them wait a bit?
I was done being out. Yes. Okay. Right away.
Okay.
But I did really enjoy the feeling of being free. Yeah, can you imagine imagine if you're in a point of your life where you don't really want to plan the next year, you know, because you have too much going on, and you suddenly have like, oh, you're free. So it was a really good freedom feeling. But of course, after 3 months, it was like, no, I want to plan the next 8 months. I want to work on something. I want to build something. I want to create something. So when they asked me to come back, that was like the 15 minutes before I would send them an email like, dude, take me back. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy you're back. You're in your rightful place.
Yeah,
but tour was fun. We had a good time, but it would have been better if you were there. No offense to Mark.
No. Yeah, this has nothing to do with Mark. So, but yeah, I was really like bummed out to not tour with you guys. Yes, of course.
Let's talk about what you are doing right now, though. We got Imperial Congregation that's coming out October 8th via Nuclear Blast. Congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Finally, man.
Massive label. Talk to me about this, you know, getting on Nuclear Blast. It's a big accomplishment. It's a huge fucking label. Great home for Blood Red Throne, in my opinion. talk to me about this new record. Talk to me about releasing a record right after as a pandemic is dwindling. Talk to me about everything and to do with that, please.
Yeah, let's start with the huge thanks to Nuclear Blast. Daniel's been pushing on it for 10 years to finally get signed there. We've been with really cool labels, really cool guys and girls pushing us, you know, but it hasn't been they haven't had the right it hasn't been Nuclear Blast, to put it like that, you know. So it's really cool to finally be at that kind of leveled label. Also, of course, you know, watching Dimmu Borgir many years ago, and like just seeing the Nuclear Blast logo and all these kind of music videos. When this is before YouTube, when you bought the metal DVDs and you just saw, you know, and you bought like the Roadrunner DVD and watching Central Media and Nuclear Blast. You know, your dream was like to get there, you know. So my dream was always to be a Nuclear Blast. So this is fantastic for like a personal level. So many friends are there already, but you have to push yourself to go off topic. You know, it kind of irritates me when I talk to musicians who are big or been big too long. You know, they kind of lose perception and respect for where they are. You know, I feel they often take things for granted. Like if you meet this and that of rock stars and they're like, no, just another day at the office, you know. And I say, like, you know what, talking to Dave Mustaine or meeting Black Sabbath or eating breakfast with Rob Halford and stuff like that, you know, you have to look back at being a kid, like listening to these guys. Well, not a kid for my sake, but still, you felt like a kid when you were 20 years old. Looking back 15 years and just watching these bands, watching these artists and having their posters on your wall, you know, you have to appreciate where you are, because so many of my friends who worked harder than me at the same time that I was a struggling musician before Blood Return, wanting to be a rock star, they're still doing the same, you know. They're still playing the local house and trying to like do something, and for them it would mean the world to hang out backstage with Carcass or Cannibal Corpse or whatever, you know. You have to really appreciate being able or being in a position to be allowed to do that kind of stuff. I feel so many musicians don't. They take it for granted because they are big too, you know. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely. People don't appreciate. It's that what you were touching on earlier, where we're never satisfied, we're always wanting more. But when we do get these tiny little accomplishments, which are massive accomplishments, we should take a moment and appreciate it.
Yeah,
and be gracious.
Our second single been out now for 24 hours. We already have almost 7,000 listenings on Spotify.
Amazing.
And I do know people who would have 100,000 now, you know, but I also have friends that would have 30 now. You know, you have to appreciate where you are and what you managed to accomplish. You know, respect the business and respect the struggle. Okay, sorry. Back to the question about the album. Yes,
so signed to Nuclear, and now releasing it during a pandemic.
Yeah, well, signed to Nuclear Blast. That I'm so fucking grateful for that. That's awesome, and I hope we can stay there for the next 60 years. We probably have a new boss in the band by then, because Daniel will be dead. And we'll all be dead. Okay, maybe 50 years. But releasing during the pandemic, I haven't thought about that at all.
It's a little bit better now, though, versus if it came out last year. Like, people are starting to tour now. You will be able to promote this properly. If you could put together a dream tour to promote Imperial Congregation the best, to put you guys, this era, this timepiece of Blood Red Throne in front of a crowd, what band should be on that package to promote this album?
I'm still thinking about your first question, but okay. I don't know. I don't really care. I just want to go out and play for people. I don't care if we are headlining and Iron Maiden is supporting us. It's okay. You know, I just want to play for people. I don't care if they like it or not. You know, I just want to be on stage. There's a perfect package would be too difficult to say, because for me, touring is well, you have one part. I want to tour with bands I like. I want to tour with people I like.
Yes.
On the second hand, if I don't know the band, and if I don't know if I like them, that's also a band I want to tour with, because I love to get to know new people. So I don't really have an opinion. Of course, crowd-wise, of course, I would like to tour with Cannibal Corpse, because I know we would get a little bigger crowd than we would have today. But I don't have any requests. I just don't want to. Well, no. No. I've been drinking for many hours, so I don't want to say anything to regret.
No.
Yeah.
Always be wise.
I have no requests. I just want to be on stage again. And okay, back to the question. Recording pandemic. We finished the album November last year.
Okay.
My only hope then was to not release it like in February or March, when I knew there would be no releases or shows. We were supposed to play now in Norway at a festival at the gates in September, October or something, but that just got canceled like 2 days ago. So there will be no live shows this year, and that's okay. So, you know, I feel now with the foundation of Nuclear Blast, it's not that important to have release shows, because we reach so many more people with that label without the release show than we would do with the previous labels with a release show, you know. So for me, release shows, album timing, not so important. Just getting the album out there, and then as soon as possible getting back on the road in Europe or North, South America, wherever they would take us. I had an interview with Japan yesterday, and
Amazing.
That's a country I would really like to go to. Yeah,
so much fun. The crowd.
But then, was there more questions about the album release, recording?
No, you covered that. I got the Nuclear Blast, dropping an album during a pandemic, a dream tour. What about like the direction of the album? Is there something new on this, or is it just? You guys talk to me about something about what is new on this album? How did you come this? Because this is the next album after the Martin's lyrics, right? Where you
we released Fit to Kill in 2019.
That's correct.
Yeah, that was a really good album. That was in my opinion, that was well. Every album that I've been on has been like really like different in directions, but it's still always been like the groove of Blood Red Shown. So it's still kind of been like the same thing. We don't try to do anything new. We don't want to try or want to. We don't want to have anything new. We just want to do the music that we like, and that's groovy death metal. This album, for me, it sounds different. Also, this is the first album I'm like truthfully proud of.
Vocally you're talking about.
No, and yeah, I'm kind of I have to say vocally. I was satisfied with the other ones, but this one, together with the music that the guys created, like my foundation of creating both the lyrics and the vocal, is I'm really proud of what everybody did on this album. It's really different. It goes. It's still the groove death metal, but it goes in. It's so fresh. I haven't listened to it that much myself, you know. So it goes in some directions of up. It's just better.
Amazing.
It intensifies and it's just. We went to Stavanger, southwest of Norway, to record our music video, and that was the first time I met the guys in 1.5 years. It was like 3 weeks ago. Wow. I haven't seen them since Mexico, before the pandemic. Yeah, we all record the album at home by ourselves. You know, I'm just sitting like this on my sofa with the vocal microphones, recording the album,
That sounds
drinking.
amazing. That sounds like heaven.
But on the road back, you know, we were really hungover. Went to a biker bar all night, you know, and I was driving back home with the bass player and with Stian and Daniel, drunk as frick. And then I was playing music, you know, I played like the country music in the 60s and stuff, and then suddenly I put on the new album. For fun, I put on the song we were doing the video for because we were so tired of it, listening to it for 7 hours the night before. Yes. So I just did that for fun, and then put on song number 1. And then it was song number 2 and 3, and kept going. And we were just sitting there like, damn, we really like this album, you know. And I really hope the listener will experience the same, because this is a really good album. It has so many like intelligent levels of musicianships in it. You know, my vocals are my vocals. I don't know how good it is, but just the talent of my musicians. You know, I wouldn't be in any other band. They're just so damn good.
It's amazing to hear. I'm excited.
Yeah, sorry, I'm drinking a lot, so I lost.
No, I love it. You're perfect. I do want to talk about last time we were together was at Blastfest.
I thought you were going to talk about the German festival.
We can talk about that too, but I was good that night. I went to bed that night. It was the other members that stayed up with you and partied that night. I was very diligent at that show. I do remember that night though, and I remember the state of my bandmates after that. They were definitely suffering.
I remember the state of my bandmates before.
I do want to talk about Blastfest. You mentioned it a little bit before. Very cool festival. It started in 2014, ran till 2017, but 2017 had to be canceled.
Yeah.
That must have been just the shittiest of shittiest days. Talk to me about that day where you make the decision that you have to pull the plug.
I didn't.
It wasn't you, okay.
I didn't make the decision. I didn't know before it was made.
Really?
So no. The thing is, you know, nobody asked me questions about this. They all took it for granted that they thought they knew. Nobody's ever asked me what happened.
Oh, good. So if you want to talk about it, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I would love to talk about it. First of all, Blastfest started in September 2013.
Okay.
I was really drunk in an Irish pub, and I just suddenly said, I want to make the biggest indoor festival in Norway. And without not any disrespect to the big festivals that already existed, but I wasn't that aware of them because I was so new into metal, you know. I didn't actually visit those festivals. I went to the last Hole in the Sky festival. I worked there on the stage, and I loved that, you know. So it was kind of in the spirit of that festival got canceled or they stopped doing it. So I just wanted to make something new and fresh. And 5 months after, I had 33 bands on stage, and everything went great. It went a little bit minus on the budget. I did it without any help or money or anything.
Sponsors, sponsors, just you.
I risked it on the ticket sale, and I had Triptychon playing, headlining the first festival together with My Dying Bride.
Yeah.
And Tom G. Warrior, he came over to me and said, everybody told him to not do this festival. Nobody knew who I was, and nobody heard of this before. And he told me like, nobody wanted him to do it, but he said, let's give this guy a chance. And he did it, and he was super happy. And all 3 years, I heard like from 99.9% of the bands that they never experienced a better festival, and everything was, you know, everything I did in Blastfest was how I wanted it to be as a musician myself. That was the foundation of everything. I want to be picked up at the airport, driven there, get my food, be picked up there, have somebody taking responsibility of me, and just tell me what to do when I do it, and just fix everything for me. And I wanted to do it that way.
Exactly what happened with us.
And I went, that was the same experience for you as for the headliner, as for the bottom band on the poster. Every band should have the same experience of not catering, but catering. You know what I mean. So second year went in a plus. I actually managed to make my festival. Everybody told me that I did it too big and everything, and I was so stupid, and I was naive and young and drunk, and so when everybody told me to do it smaller, I said fuck you all, and being a cool young naive guy, and I made it twice as big. I had 11 stages in Bergen and everything, and you played that.
Stages.
Yeah, you played that show. Today, when I see the poster of Blastfest 2015. That's like, what the fuck were you thinking? You know, that there's no sane way of putting on a second year poster like that anywhere, at least in Norway or in Bergen. You know, it's so crazy if you see the lineup. When you get down to the bottom, you have like still like
massive
big bands.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. I was so stupid, but it worked. Then the third year, I did 100% Norwegian lineup.
Yes.
That was just for fun, you know. I wanted to give my tribute to the black metal scene and Norwegian metal scene. And this shitty thing that happened was, in the same company as I did Blastfest, I also did shows all year round.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And I had a couple of shows that really lost like big money. And then on top of that, I was one of the promoters for the Metal All Stars thing that became a big media thing with FBI, and the guy. The first tour was a real thing. The second tour was a hustle.
Oh,
yeah. So I lost shitloads of money on that, together with shows around the year, and not being good with money or budgeting or anything, you know. Minus they got paid still, and when they went around and after the festival, also I had a girl helping me with accounting, you know, but I wasn't professional, so I didn't have proper dialogue with her. So she started to pay all the bands, and when the money was out, she expected me to be professional and tell her now it's money coming in and so on, you know. And I was just like, oh, she probably has control, you know. So we didn't talk, and then a couple of months after, I found out from bands they hadn't gotten paid.
Which is not the experience. Which is not the experience you wanted.
No, and it's not that much in Norwegian money. I paid 11 million kroners to bands.
Wow.
There was 200,000 kroner that didn't get paid.
Okay.
So it wasn't much in the big sense, but for those bands that was not getting the money, it was everything. So it was my fault. I should have been responsible, and I should have been on top of it, but I didn't know. And poor girls, because she got the messages, you know.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for that. So yeah. So then business friends of mine said that we want to not buy the festival, but take over.
Okay.
We do everything.
They like your idea. You're creative. You're the creative mindset of it, but they're going to run the festival.
Yeah. So I was head of booking, and I did all the creative things, and made my festival like what worked before, because. Yeah, this is a sad thing. I will never get any recognition for this, but Blastfest was a success. It was my choice. Was great. Yeah, but it was my choices outside of the festival that made it go down. It wasn't the festival itself. So that's a big shame. So they took over everything. I gave them the festival, like, here you go. And we worked together for a year. And they said, when it's over, you get paid. I worked a year for free, and I booked a band. I'm not going to mention them, but they are one of my favorite bands. But I was that naive. I did not know that there existed a right wing and a left wing world. I didn't even know. And now I know. I was like always like, I'm never going to listen to a word of politics. So I booked a band that apparently was on the right wing of politics.
And then other bands jumped out, right? You're obviously talking about Pest Noir.
I'm obviously talking about Pest Noir, which is
you
one of my
music,
favorite bands.
But you didn't understand the political stance that they have.
I didn't know. I was naive. I didn't know. I loved the music. I figured this would be fucking awesome because they haven't played live in 7 years, and this will be just a fun event. I also booked Napalm Death, which I love, but
and then Napalm stepped off the bill because they were on the bill.
Yeah, but I talked to them too. It's not that much about that. It was the harassment from certain audience types, So, and I even got like people. I was even called a Nazi myself, for this. And I'm like, I booked Napalm Death and I booked Pest Noir. How am I a Nazi? I'm just naive. I'm stupid. So the festival was boycotted. And I didn't have too much good faith, or because I still owed some bands money.
Oh yes, yeah.
But my thought was to make another festival to be able to pay these bands. But for some reason in the metal world, people are like, you shouldn't do another festival before you pay. But I'm like, how can I pay if I don't have income? So you have to continue to be able to make things right. So this and that, and then, 3 weeks before the festival, they told me like, push it, you have to sell tickets. And I'm like, pushing it. I get to the office next morning to have a coffee, and they said, today it's canceled. Wow. And I'm like, what? I just told all my friends to buy tickets yesterday, and today it's canceled. So then it was canceled. I didn't have anything to say about it. So I just created my mini Blastfest instead. It was Blood Red Throne, Avslut, Swedish death metal band, and Monolith Death Cult from Holland, and we did a mini thing at Apollon, small record store in Bergen. Yeah, it was a big shame, but we had
it was a monster festival. It was a really fun one. I played it for sure. It must be like, did you mourn after you have this crazy drunk idea that turns into something huge, and then it's just gone? Or was it a relief too?
No, it was never a relief because I wanted to do it. It was more a pain, because I lost my reputation. I never did this for money or fame. I just did this because I wanted to create something for metal, I honestly did this out of pure heart, and the words I was reading about myself, and the things people were saying about me, and how many friends I lost, which apparently wasn't my friends in the start.
No, exactly.
How much shit we got, and how many shows that didn't want to book my band, my brothers, because of this.
Really?
It was a really big struggle. I got into bad panic attacks and anxiety. I had to take pills to calm myself down. I've always been a strong guy, but to every day read that people hate you and that you are just a piece of shit, and that really took its toll of me. So that, at the same time, I had a girlfriend in Iceland, and I kind of honestly just escaped to Iceland for 2 years. Really? I couldn't face people back home. It was really tough, and I never intended for anything bad to happen, though it was my fault. But it was really tough.
Is that all behind you now? Do you think that people will still remember you as the dude from Blastfest?
No, yes and no. It's I never talked about this, so it's this is a real topic for me, Yes or no? I do try when I meet bands that I don't know where I have them. I actually just walk over and say, like, do we have a problem? Do you hate
really?
me? Or
Really?
yeah, I tried it because I went through so much shit, and
Is it because of the reputation of not paying bands fully, or because of the Antifa?
no, it was
Groups.
both, everything,
Okay.
and also if you start to feel bad and
Mhm.
you fall into something, then your own mind also makes things worse. You get anxiety for how you don't trust the smile someday. You don't know if they are smiling to you and making fun of you when you turn your back.
That is true.
You don't feel welcome anywhere anymore. It's really tough. So
how often does a band that you don't know, when you walk up and you say that to them, how often do they say, yes, we fucking hate you? Probably never.
No. Well, to put it in order, I spent my time in a mental jail, to say it like that, and I just found myself again. I grew strong again, and I'm stronger than ever today. I'm always fucking positive, and with my strength, I'm able to go up to people and say, like, what's the status? How are we? And usually people just say, that was then. I did it like last week was the last time.
Really?
I did it earlier this summer. I did it before the summer. I did it this winter. I did it before Christmas. And it seems like everything is okay. I'm not saying everything is okay. There's probably somebody watching this who says, fuck no, things aren't okay. But I'm okay. I'm still working my ass off to pay that debt, even though it's not my real debt anymore. It was a company, but I don't want to leave this world with debt on my shoulders. I want to fix it, but it takes time, of course. My debt is bigger than most people's 10-year salary.
Wow.
But you can't fix anything in life before you fix yourself. You have to fix yourself, and you have to get strong, and then you can start working on the problems that involves other people. Yeah, things are really great now. I got a lot of shit to fix still, but I'm doing great, and I'm happy as fuck.
That makes me happy to hear that, Bolt. And
yeah,
just keep being you. You will pay back those debts.
Yeah, of course I will.
Financially or relationship-wise.
I'm not that asshole that people think.
You've always been nice to me. Let's talk about not being able to perform. For myself, I'm very lucky. I get to do these interviews. I get to fill the void of performing on stage with the podcast. Yeah. How have you been filling the void of not being on stage?
Well, it didn't really kick in before December last year. And then I started, I was finished with, my void was filled until December because of recording.
Yes.
After recording, I had the void. So then I was like really comfortable with my home studio, to call it that. I use a free version of GarageBand and a cheap microphone.
Whatever works. Yeah.
It's not about the money, it's about attitude, So I basically I was drinking, and I started to record old tunes that I like, just like karaoke recording. And amazing. When I got drunk enough, I put it on Instagram, and
really?
It wasn't good by far, but at least I felt I was like performing, as long as I can make some people laugh or smile or say fuck you, then I'm happy, So that went on for 2 months, and then I got into work mode, basically, just I concentrated on work and to fixing all my stuff, and that's where my head's been up till summer. So now I've been looking forward to the show that got canceled 3 days ago. Now I'm looking forward to hopefully touring like Easter or Christmas. No, winter, Easter, spring.
It's coming back. It's coming back.
I miss the stage, but I'm not the person that miss things like desperately. You know what I mean? I'm really looking forward to being on stage again, but it's not something I can fix. So if you can't fix it, don't focus on it.
Live in the present and focus on what you can do.
Yeah. So I focus on
that's a
each day. Yeah.
great philosophy. It's something that I know that you guys are experts about because I have partied with you guys, and you're crazy. Lots of hard liquor going down and suffering the day after. Let's wrap this up. One last question. Classic wrap-up question. You guys are experts at this, so you must have the secret. What is your hangover cure?
Another day.
Another day. There's nothing secrets when you wake up and you feel like shit, you don't have any home remedies that you could share with us.
As long as I wake up, I'm happy.
Bolt, thank you so much having a chat with me, talking about your life, music, and craft beer, and being just so damn open and honest. I love that very much. Everyone, go get ready to listen to Imperial Congregation. It's dropping October 8th via Nuclear Blast. I'm stoked about it. Bolt, very happy that we got to connect today. Cheers to you, bud.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, was this a beautiful conversation. I had just so much fun hanging out with Bolt. As we mentioned, we haven't seen each other in quite a few years, so it was very nice to catch up. I really enjoyed how honest he was, how open he was. I love that we touched on some things that he had never had the opportunity to speak about publicly. Very stoked about the new Blood Red Throne album, Imperial Congregation, which drops this Friday via Nuclear Blast Records. It's a mammoth of a record. You should absolutely check it out. If you enjoyed this Vox and Hops episode, you should sign up to the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast mailing list. You can do that on my website, voxandhops.com. That's VOXANDHOPS.com. And when you do that, you shall receive one email a week containing all of the details of everything that has happened throughout the past week in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. So please sign up to the mailing list, because there's just so much going on in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast that I would hate for you to miss a single thing. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media. I hope you have a glorious rest of the week. I will be back next week with one episode on Tuesday, but until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.